And welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. And today we are joined by Martin Sanders. Welcome him back to the channel. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Great to chat to Everton fans. Got a massive affinity with Everton. Had a brilliant final day experience coming to Goodison Park actually, and yeah, got to say, I walked away and yeah, have a totally different feeling about Everton Football Club since that day.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely an emotional day for all of us. And of course, you're one of the teams that you managed to take a few points off us last season as well. So definitely, you must
Yeah.
have a bit of a soft spot for us in that regard. But yeah, so we're here to talk about Tyler Dibling, and of course,
Mm.
some Southampton fans' view of Everton might have changed a little bit, or might do in the coming days over this whole saga potentially. But yeah, that's basically where I wanted to start. Really, what is the
Mm.
general feeling among Southampton fans at this these latest rumours?
Yeah, it's the first club that sounds like they've actually tabled an official offer for him. I think they've had interest in Tyler, but nobody's produced a concrete offer till now. And there's Everton are the first club to do it. There was a lot of talk early in the window that Spurs were very confident of landing him. They obviously changed manager and Thomas Frank's gone in there. I'm not sure Dibling's a Thomas Frank type player. Um, yeah, then obviously the Everton story come out last night. I do on my channel. I do a transfer roundup, transfer chat several times a week, and it was the topic of conversation last night. And a lot of Southampton fans would sell him for the right price. You know, there's two big outfield players that are creating a lot of interest. It's Tyler and Mateus Fernandez. And a lot of fans would rather keep Mateus Fernandez over Tyler Dibling. I've got to be honest, you don't want to wish any top talent away. He's a top talent, and you want to keep your best players. And he's been magnificent for Saints breaking through. He had a quiet second half of last season. He started the season really well. He went off the boil after Christmas for whatever reason that was, whether it was just the team that were terrible, confidence, change of manager. It could be lots of reasons, speculation around his future. But Saints did offer him a contract in January. It's not been in the domain, but they did. I think he was happy with it. His agent, I'm not convinced, was, and yes, it never got signed, and yeah, we're now in a situation where clubs will come knocking the door because Saints were relegated.
Mm. Yeah, like I say, you said there that a lot of fans would sell him for if the right deal came along. Obviously, the rumor seems to be that we've offered 27 million and that's been rejected. And
Yeah.
then the thing seems to be that it's that 35 million will be enough to prize them away. Do you think most fans would be happy with that amount, or would they be wanting more?
No, I am under the understanding they want a bit more than that. I think it'd be closer to 40, from what I'm told, and people down here and what's been said. You know, there was a lot of talk last year of 65 million back in January. I think 40 will do it. I think a lot of Saints fans are questioning why Everton? Why would he want to go to Everton? And I'm like, hold on a minute. Let's get this into perspective. A club with a brand new ground, a fan base that's hugely passionate, committed, turn up in their droves. I touched it for one day and it was just mental. The fan base there is just so passionate. I'm not just saying it because I'm on the channel, but I've been down the road across the park and it's so different. It's so many. It's it seems to me like people in Liverpool, like if they're die-hard fans, are Everton fans. It is just insane. So he was there final day, Dibbling. He was a good as Embark. He would have felt what it was like. A manager that's got experience in the league, an opportunity to stay in the Premier League, but go to a club where he get a better chance, no disrespect, and maybe say going to sort of like a City or an Arsenal or a Spurs. He'd get more of an opportunity at Everton to play football. So to me, it seems like a fit. Personally, I do. There's talk of Chelsea. So a lot of people say, "Oh, why would you go to Everton? It's a graveyard for young players." Well, actually, top stadium next year. It's an exciting time on Merseyside for Everton. So if Saints get the right sell-on fee, if you sold him to Everton, to make sure you get your sell-on fee, because there's no doubt if he continues to progress, he's going to be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, that's it. I completely agree. I can understand like the understanding of the last few years that Everton probably isn't the happiest place for a player to be, but I think we
Mm,
all kind of seem to be under the impression we're turning over a new leaf a little bit, and
mm.
you know Moyes in particular, I think has always worked pretty well with young players, and there definitely seems
Yeah.
to be an emphasis on that this summer. So. Um, Something that interests me is that Dibbling, from a neutral perspective anyway, just kind of seemed to come out of nowhere a little bit. I don't know. I
Mm,
don't, from looking at, I don't think he was playing much for you in the Championship either. He just kind of seemed to come into the team once you got into the Premier League and was suddenly
mm.
really a standout performer. Were Southampton fans like aware of him too much before last season?
Yeah, we're all well aware of him for a good period of time now. He's been breaking through. There's been a lot of talk around him because of the talent that he is, and certainly what he was doing in the under 18s, and then latterly the under 21s. He scored goals at every single level that he's played at. You know, he's been really good. He was actually had a period of time when he went off and he was signed by Chelsea. He went to Chelsea at probably 17, and they say he got homesick. I don't think that's actually the true reason why he wanted to come back. He wasn't settled, and obviously probably didn't see a pathway to go and play at a high level. And he come back. Saints agreed a deal to bring him back, and he was breaking in the squads for sort of like FA Cup games, League Cup games, Carabao Cup games. He was making the bench. He played a few FA Cup games under Martin during our last Championship campaign, and was very good. And I think he was frustrated, Dibbling, that wasn't actually knocking on the door of being a regular in the league squad. And he was the breakthrough last pre-season. In pre-season, he looked class. He bulked himself out. He spent a lot of time in the gym. He'd physically a lot stronger than he was, and he just looked like a different class of player. And yeah, then he breaks through as a really good debut up at St James's at the start of the Premier League campaign. We go back home. We play Brentford away. He played really, really well. And then I think it was Man United at home, and he was really good on TV, TNT Sport there, and he just ripped it up, and he looked like the real deal. Scored in his next home game against Ipswich. Really good first half of the campaign under Martin until Martin left. And then Ivan Juric come in, and it wasn't quite the same under Ivan Juric. Wasn't quite the same for him. A different style of play, and he petered off second half of the season. You didn't see a lot of him. He scored 2 goals, but he didn't assist in any. He didn't have any assists at all. Played 33 games, 33 appearances, but he just didn't provide quite enough. Very good at dribbling, good on the ball, moves the ball, but pick it up. It's good in the 10, really good in the 10. That's his best position, really. He's a bit more central, and he likes to go past players, but you need him top end of the field. He's not the sort of player that's going to work hard and go and chase people down and track back. He's not that sort of player. And a lot of Saints fans were frustrated and say, "Oh, he's lazy, he's lazy." But it's just he's a luxury player, and he's skillful.
Yeah, like I say, you've kind of got me on to my next question. I was going to ask, like, is he? So you wouldn't describe him as too much of an out and out winger, really? Someone more who likes to play more,
No,
bit more on the inside.
yeah, he's not a winger. In my opinion, I don't think he's a winger. Like, he's played out wide for Saints, but he's not a winger. He's not going to track back enough. And look, he's good coming from in a three. If you're playing with a front three, he's quite good playing. He can play off right or left. Really, he's quite good off the right. He just come inside. I think that the best performance I saw of Dibbling last year was at the Amex Stadium at Brighton away in early November, just before Martin was sacked. We lost down there. Oh no, we did. We drew down there on the night. Actually, I think it was maybe 2-2. And he was brilliant that night. He played inside right, and he was get Russell Martin was starting to trust him a bit more. He's playing him out wide, but Dibbling wants to play inside, and he played him inside. And I tell you what, it was one of his best performances. Link up players, give and go, and yeah, he's a brilliant talent. He really is, and a lot of people think he's overrated as a player at this moment in time. And look, I just think the drop off second half of the season was massive. But you got to remember, He was playing in one of the worst ever Premier League teams, a team that had only won 2 games, a dressing room that was battered, a fan base that was battered. It's always going to be difficult for a 19-year-old to really shine. But it said a lot, didn't it, in the first 15 games that he's the standout talent at 19 years old. It's quite incredible, really.
Mm. Yeah, and like I say, is he particularly like I know he's left-footed, but is he very left-footed or is he comfortable using both feet?
Yeah, he can use both feet. He's good on his left foot. He likes to come off that right side and use his left foot, and it just like dribbles with the ball. The ball sticks at his feet. He's got lovely skills. He probably tries a bit too much sometimes. I think he needs someone to get hold of him now. I think he needs to get focused, and that was probably the biggest concern at the back end of last season. Maybe not so focused, but when he's on it, the way he drifts past people, his trickery, his pace, he's got a bit speedy, he's quick. He's got all the attributes to be a really good footballer, and he's good in. He'd take the ball in really tight positions. But he did look like he fell out of love with the game a little bit at the back end of last season. I was alarmed at how he looked. His body language looked off. I watched him in pre-season a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, don't know, he didn't look like the Tyler I'd seen. And that's because there's a lot of noise, with his agent and clubs, and maybe he's not happy at Southampton. I don't know. I don't know him. I've met him. I don't know him, but he's a shy lad, very shy, very quiet. Um, but he's a young talent, and he just needs to be nurtured, and he needs to be at the right club. If he's going to go anywhere, he needs to go to the right place, which he be nurtured and looked after. And I think Charlie Alcaraz, he's took that move to Everton. He's come there, and you see what he's done. He's been brilliant for you guys. He's a great lad. He just needed to be in the right club with the right manager, and it can work for the right player at the right time, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think maybe a particular reservation from some of our fans is maybe that he seems almost quite similar to Illiman and Dye, who's on obviously on a similar side, more plays
Mm,
on the wing, but likes to sit inside a lot more, tricky dribbler, not like
yeah.
lightning quick, not an out and out winger as you
Mm.
described, and
Very
obviously
similar, yeah.
yeah, like I said, obviously you got quite a good insight into him on the last day last season. So
Yeah, he was brilliant on that final day, wasn't he? He was really good.
yeah, yeah, did have a very good game. So yeah, would you say that's a similar comparison? Are there any other players that like in the Premier League that remind you in terms of Dibling's playing style?
I, I think Ndiaye is a classic example. I just think he's a bit more of a finished article Ndiaye at the moment, in my opinion. Scores more goals, gets involved a bit more energy about him as a player, bit maybe a little bit, yeah, just that little bit more experienced at this moment in time. Not how old is Ndiaye at the moment?
25, 26, I think.
It's just that little bit older, that little bit more experienced.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, very similar. He's compared to Grealish a lot because he doesn't wear any shin pads, socks around his ankles, very much like Jack Grealish. He's probably modelled his game on Jack a little bit, to be honest. Long hair. Yeah, he's definitely got a bit of Jack Grealish about him for sure.
Yeah, another player we're being linked with as well, so might be a good pull for Diblin perhaps if we
Yeah.
manage to get him over the line. So you mentioned before about his work rate might not being particularly high standard as well. Did you say tracking back defensively, not quite being part of his game?
A few people said that. I think he can do it on his day. I've seen him do it, so he can do it. It just at times he didn't want to do it. I looked at his the amount of duels that he won last year, and he won a high percentage of his duels last year, as many as a lot of Southampton players. And they were saying, "Well, he's lazy." Well, I just think he's a sort of player that you need him at the top end of the field, and Saints struggle to get the ball from sort of the edge of their own 18-yard box to the halfway line, let alone get it into the final third. So he just wasn't given an opportunity to flourish last year in the Premier League in a side that was just so bad. If he stayed with Saints and we're in the Championship next season, I think he'd absolutely flourish at the top end of the field, and he'd be a brilliant player for Saints. But I do think that he will go if they get the offer they require. I think he will. I think he will go.
And you think he's more than ready for the step up to playing week in week out for an established Premier League team, or does he still need a bit more time, maybe a bit more competition in that position, perhaps?
Yeah, he's not ready to start week in, week out, that's for sure. I don't think he is. I think he needs to be nurtured a bit. I think he needs to be given time and work with the right players. I think that's the big thing for him. Yeah, I think at a club that where there's going to be a lot of expectation next year at Everton. You know, with the new stadium, it's a big year, big move, isn't it? Is a bit of a transition period there. They're going to go through. You're going to go through what we went through when we left the Dow to St Mary's. It's tough finding that first win's really important, and how they get that. I think they've got a manager that would demand a lot from him. I look at David Moyes as a manager, think, well, does he fit Tyler? Potentially could, but Tyler would definitely have to show a certain work ethic to fit into a David Moyes side, in my opinion. But yeah, he's a on his day he will put a shift in.
Yeah. I'm not particularly clued up on how you played last season, to be honest. But would you think it's a case of he's the sort of player that would needs a kind of like overlapping fullback to really flourish with him playing inside a bit? Do you think he would work better with a fullback that gets up like
Yeah,
along the
well,
flank with him?
that's how we set up for the majority of last season. We played with a back three with wing backs. The wing backs just didn't have the ability to get up the field enough. That he can play if you played a flat four and he played in front of a fullback, he's not that suits him as well. To be fair, he can do that. He's quite versatile. He can play right the way through midfield. He played in the eight a bit, and is more than comfortable playing in the number eight role. And Saints played him in the 10 a bit. I think he got hung out to dry a little bit of Bournemouth away last year. He played the false nine position, which didn't suit him at all. He's not strong enough to play as like a lone man, sort of in a false nine. I think with a big man playing sort of in behind in the 10, I think in Will Steele's system, I think it'd suit him quite well because Steele likes to play with like a front three and a 10. I think he'd suit that role with two holding midfielders, a flat back four. I think it'd be perfect for him. But yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be here to experience it.
Yeah,
We will
that's
see though. Things
yeah.
could change. Tomorrow's the teller. But the time of recording, it's the 1st of August, Friday. Saints play Brighton and Hove Albion tomorrow in a pre-season friendly 3:30 kickoff. I think it'd be interesting for any Evertonian that you'd probably be looking at the X feed for hashtag Saints FC to see if he is on the team sheet or in that squad. I think tomorrow's a big teller actually for not just Tyler, but for a lot of players because Will Steele has made it very clear that he will only work with players that want to be here in the final games. In what he's done this week, Dibling didn't go on our pre-season training camp to Girona. That was last week, not this week, but last week. So there was two games behind closed doors. He didn't play in either because he didn't travel because he was injured. So he's been back here in England, probably been busy with his agent by the sounds of things. And then this week he's been back in training. He's been photographed back in training. And then we play Brighton and Hove Albion in the final pre-season fixture tomorrow. And that will be a real teller.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. It'll definitely be an interesting one to keep our eye on. So just to round off, putting the cards on the table, do you think this overall would be a good deal for Everton if we get the right price tag over the long and you really can see him fulfilling his potential?
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a young man that's only played probably a handful of good games in the Premier League. I think it's a huge gamble. At this moment in time, I think he's got potential, but he's got to be switched on up here and be really, really driven by performances and not by money. Because I think at this stage, they've been offered big money. He's probably one of the lowest earners at Southampton at the moment. Not one of their best players, but probably one of the lowest earners. All of a sudden, you get somebody offering you 60, 70, 80 grand a week. It becomes a bit of a game changer, isn't it? As a young man, you do think, cha-ching, oh my word. So look, it'd be interesting where he ends up. I did wonder a few days ago if the agent was going to start to stir it to create and spark some interest, get something in the domain, to kind of bring people to the table. I think this will spark people coming to the table, whether Spurs come back to it, because Spurs were very keen on him. He's like, I know that from people at Spurs, they were very keen on him a little while ago. Whether that's not come to fruition because of the manager. There was talk of Chelsea again down here. So I think clubs will come to the table. I don't think Everton will be the only one, but I think for you guys, it's a lot of money. It depends if how much money you've got to spend and where you spend it. Do you want experienced players or do you want to buy youth and develop? I think sometimes in the Premier League you need a really good mixture of both to survive, and we're a classic example of not having the mixture right last season. I think Everton was one thing they've got really well now down at this moment in time is they've got a nice balance, haven't they, in terms of squad. What they did do last season, I don't know how your business has been over the summer, but he will. You need balance, don't you? And like if he's got experienced players around him, like I love the little midfielder that played for you last year. Is it Idrissa Gueye?
Oh yeah.
Plays a mid. Yeah, he played with someone like him. He's like he's a magician as a player, the most underrated player in the Premier League that I've seen. He's just freaking immense. I've never seen a guy run like it. I
Yeah.
watched him at St Mary's and thought, this boy is class. I didn't really know anything about him, and I watched him and he worked like his absolute socks off, but creative. He just don't give the ball away. And then I went to Goodison and he does the same. I was like, you play with players like him, it must be just wonderful. And Southampton don't have a midfielder like him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you very much for joining us, Martin. It'll definitely be a
You're
very
welcome.
interesting one to keep an eye
Mm.
on over the next few weeks.
Good luck for
Um,
the season. I hope it goes well. We'll be watching Everton from afar, and I will definitely visit brand new ground as well because I had a look at it on the way out when I come to Goodison, and wow, it looks great.
yeah.
So I wish you guys all the best for the season ahead. Top club, top
Yeah.
fan base.
Yeah, and similar sentence to you. Hopefully, again, like I say, next season you'll be able to come and watch Southampton play at the new ground.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
hope so. I hope so.
fingers crossed for that one. But so yeah, that sums up this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment below, giving your thoughts about Dibling, and whether you think it'd be a good deal for Everton. Subscribe to the Top of his channel for more Everton content, and we will see you in the next video. Up the Toffees.